In this video, I'm going to explain how I safely can tomato ketchup. And I find it quite interesting how ketchup was developed in the 1800s and why it was developed. Because just think about how they didn't have refrigeration. My husband loves this recipe that's in the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving on page 254. Ketchup's been a staple condiment for hundreds of years. When making ketchup at home, be aware that it will be thinner consistency than store-bought varieties. However, homemade ketchup is made from natural ingredients without adjectives, which you and your family can appreciate while enjoying its superior taste. While using a spice bag that's clean, we're going to use 3 tablespoons of celery seed, 4 teaspoons of whole cloves, 1.5 teaspoons of whole allspice, and 2 cinnamon sticks. And we're going to need the cinnamon sticks broken up into pieces, so I'm just using my pot to get that done. So we're going to place the cinnamon sticks, the celery seed, and the cloves, and the allspice into the bag. And tie it tight and ask me how I know. You don't want that bag coming open. Next, we're going to use a stainless steel pot and combine 3 cups of vinegar in the spice bag. Then we're going to bring to a boil, remove from heat, and let stand for 25 minutes. Then discard the spice bag. I recommend using a lid to cover to keep dust and pet hair out and also to prevent the vinegar from evaporating. You're working so hard to get that diffused flavor into your vinegar, so let's keep it there. And also squeeze the bag to get that extra vinegar out of that bag that was in there. Now I'm using my heirloom plum tomatoes that I grow in my garden. And before you ask what variety they are, they're just different kinds of tomatoes that have been pollinating each other and creating my own variety. And look at the size of this tomato. But since this is a canning video and not a gardening video, we'll get back to the show. So we're going to be washing and coring and quartering 24 pounds of tomatoes. And I know I should be using a cutting board instead of cutting towards myself, but old habits die hard. Then I'm just directly putting them right into my sauce pot that I'm going to use to cook them down in. We also need 3 cups of chopped onions. I don't know why I haven't thought of this sooner, but you can freeze your chopped onions for your canning recipes. It doesn't change the acidity level at all. You should be using a dry measure and not a wet measure. And I'm only adding a dash of cayenne. The recipe does call for a teaspoon, so you can add as much or as little as you want. So as the vinegar is cooling down, we want to combine our tomatoes, our onions, and our cayenne and bring that to a boil over high heat, stirring frequently, and reduce the heat to a boil gently for 20 minutes. Add the infused vinegar and boil gently until the vegetables are soft and the mixture begins to thicken for about 30 minutes. Next, we're going to work in batches and transfer our mixture through a food mill. And you want to make sure your bowl is either glass or stainless steel. Now we want to return the liquid to the saucepan and add our salt and sugar and bring to a boil over medium heat, stirring occasionally. And once it reaches a boil, reduce the heat and boil gently and stirring frequently. I'm using a pot stirrer that my husband designed for me for my birthday, and it comes in real handy when I'm canning. Now, ketchup takes a very long time to reduce. I don't know why, but if I didn't have this pot stirrer, I would not be happy about making it. But I'm glad to make this ketchup for my husband because he made this pot stirrer for me. It probably took at least 5 hours to reduce this batch of ketchup. This recipe yields 7 pints, and when you're reducing it, you're wondering how much is 7 pints. So I have a video that I'll link right here to show you how you measure and mark it on in your pot how much 7 pints is. It's very handy to have on hand. Now we'll need to prepare the canner, the jars, and the lids. I'm putting 3 quarts of water in my steam canner since it only needs to process for 15 minutes. And I'll turn the stove on so the pot and the water can get hot a while. I do not like washing my jars in the dishwasher. Sometimes there's stuff still caked on from the last time I washed it in the dishwasher before I took it to the cellar. So when I'm ready to can, I use my restaurant jar brush and hot soapy water and scrub like somebody owes me money. And I don't wash the jars until 10 minutes before I'm about to can. So they're hot and ready. I find myself being very organized when I'm about to can something. I lay out a towel and I have my canning funnel, my 4-jar lids, my debubbler, and my canning ladle that I can't live without because it hooks on the side of the pot, which comes in very handy. I also like using a paper towel holder to hold my canning rings because it's vertical and it doesn't take up much space on the counter. And I also have paper towels to wipe my rims. And I'm going to use my steam canner to get my jars hot just by placing them on the rack. A hot canner and hot jars means happy canning. This video is part of the Plan to Can collaboration hosted by Jeni at Jeni Scratch Made Kitchen and the MillerLife Kitchen. Please comment on this video and the rest of the videos in this collaboration because there will be a live stream giveaway on March 2nd, 2024 on Jeni Scratch Made Kitchen's YouTube channel at 8:30 Eastern PM. They'll be giving away not 1 but 2 canners from the comments from random videos in this collaboration, and we'll have door prizes. So see you there. So now it's time to ladle the hot ketchup into hot jars and leave a 1/2 inch head space. Then we want to make sure we're debubbling and making sure we're using our 1/2 inch head space. Please make sure your debubbler is straight up and down. Then it's important to take your paper towel and clean the rim. You want to make sure there's no evidence of tomatoes on your rim. Then you want to place your lid and your ring on the jar and fingertip tight. I just love using 4-jar lids. I rarely have a lid that does not seal, and it's usually my fault when it doesn't seal. But if you want to use 4-jar lids, use my code Mennonite10 at checkout and save 10% on your next order. I'm using a steam canner for this project. It only needs 3 quarts of water. All you have to do is wait for your red arrow to go into the zone for your altitude. I'm in the darkest green, so I have to wait for it to get to far over there. Then I can start my processing time for 15 minutes. Make sure you know your elevation. I'm at 859 feet above sea level, so I'm processing for 15 minutes. I love steam canning because it takes less time to bring it to a boil. There's not big piles of water just jumping out of the pot, because when you're canning quarts in this size pot, it's a mess. At the end of the processing time, turn off the heat and remove the canner lid. Let the canner cool for 5 minutes. This short staining time allows the pressure inside the jars to stabilize and reduce the likelihood of liquid loss that could otherwise occur when the jars are moved. After the 5 minutes, remove the jars, lifting them out of the hot water without tilting them. Don't worry about the water on the tops of the jar lids. It will evaporate during the cooling off period. Don't dry the lids and the jars at this point. You don't want to disturb the lids while the sealing is being formed. Place the jars upright on a towel in a draft-free place and let cool, undisturbed for 24 hours. Well, there we have it. We have 7 pints of homemade ketchup the easy way, and doing it safely by following the ball book's instructions. I hope this video is very helpful for you. If you've made it this far into the video, I'm sure you're loving the content of this channel. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram for more great content. May I suggest you watching this next? Take care and God bless, and see you in the next video.